Welcome to episode 17 of that podcast with James Robertson and Michael Fincher. This is take 2 on Dead Money now that I've actually finished Dead Money successfully, as opposed to my last time where I gave up in frustration and just died in the vault. Right now I'm on the road. I'm working in Dallas-Fort Worth, which is about 1,200 miles from where I live, so I don't get a chance to be on the Xbox very often. But last weekend, I finally got actually 2 weekends ago, now that I think about it, I got a new character I'd been playing up to level 23 and decided that that was high enough that I'd risk taking the character into Dead Money. And I had concentrated this character on unarmed combat and stealth. And it turned out those were useful things to have all by themselves because
yes, it is. Yeah.
Sneaking up on people and then whacking them one seems to be much more effective than trying to blow them away with a gun. I mean, it kind of amazed me. I never thought it would work that way, but it did. And in Dead Money, I can tell you that when you're wandering through the villas and the rest of the areas, it's so much easier if you have stealth because you can pretty much walk right up to the ghost people and sock them.
Yeah, they have a very high, what do you call it? Perception.
Yeah.
So you have to have a very high sneak skill.
Mine was above, I think I started at 90 and I put it to 100 before I finished the...
Yeah, you have to have 100 skill.
Yeah, so I was able to sneak right up to them and then pound them.
Yeah, that's pretty much right on target there.
Yeah, and I think
that's the same thing I've witnessed, you know.
It worked really well. I mean, just having unarmed skill all by itself, because I also learned, and I should have picked this up the first time, that even if you're not an unarmed skill person, if you actually take the time to explore the entire police station when you go to get dog, there's a bunch of guns and armor in that building that I missed completely my first playthrough.
Really?
Yeah, if you go down to the basement. Yeah, if you go down there, you'll find a couple of things. You'll find some clues to Dog and God's split personality. And you'll find a bunch of really good armor and a bunch of weapons. An automatic rifle, a bunch of ammunition, multiple police pistols. Yeah, you can actually get through with just weapons if those are the skills you brought up. I mean, the first playthrough I didn't even notice that, but I went through the basement and there was all kinds of stuff down there.
Well, I don't know if you want to put this on the on record, but I actually went and researched the actual condition that Dog has.
Oh, okay.
My wife has a PhD in psychology.
Okay.
And I taught her about that condition, and it was rather interesting how they played that out.
So was it accurate to real life or not?
Not really. She said if somebody has a split personality, once they come to in the end of the game, Dog becomes, if you play it right, he accepts and becomes both.
Yes.
She says there won't be any memory loss. She says it's totally normal for both perspectives to come together and meld. You don't forget. You don't become a new person. You just.
Yeah, I suppose you can kind of give them a little artistic license in the sense that it's a nightkin, so maybe...
That's what she said. She was like, that they just, used a, poetic license.
Okay. But that's interesting. So up until that point, though, if you ignore that part of it, the condition is relatively normal, or...
Pretty much, okay. Yeah. She says most of it is determined by, Hollywood. Split personalities, came about years ago, but Hollywood has really cemented it.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it is just about, Hollywood. So yes, there is a split personality, but Hollywood made it, like somebody has split personality, saw a TV show or saw a movie or saw this game, and that kind of, infiltrates their own mentality. So yeah, there's a kind of a, influence there from Hollywood.
Now, I should mention that brings to mind another thing. When I went through this playthrough, the first time my speech was pretty high, but this time I started with a speech skill above 90 and brought it to 100. if you have a speech of 100 and you talk to Dean Domino, at the end, you don't have to kill him.
How? How'd you do that?
Apparently there are speech options, and maybe it's not having high speech, maybe it's just picking the right ones. I don't know how it worked out, but if you go down the right path with him, he will, he just lets you go. And there's, how at the end of every Fallout game, there's the thing about how the world changed because of the Lone Wanderer or the Courier or whatever. So
Right.
if you finish that, he speaks about how he met you, and then he learned that Vegas was still there, so he decided to set off across the waste and find his way to Vegas. So you can get past him without killing, which made that part a whole lot easier, because instead of having to dash out of the theater, if you have the talk with him and you talk through that, then you don't have to dash out, which also, if you didn't notice the first time, when you went upstairs to the projector, if you just, it's very easy the first time to just walk upstairs to the projector, put it in, and then go down to find Dean. But if you go back up there like I did, you'll notice there's a line congressional style skill book up there.
Right, yeah.
So, I missed that the first playthrough as well. But yeah, you can talk your way past Dean, and then your alarm bells don't start going off. Just like, I guess you could just kill the Nightkin, Dog God in the kitchen, then turn off the all the gas leaks. But you don't have to. You can meld the personalities like you were talking about.
Right. Yeah.
And then finally, you've got the whole deal with Christine, where that one, I think both of us said we got through that one easily enough the first time we did this podcast about this, where you just talk to her and then you go down and decide to take care of Elijah. And the funny thing is, I think I could have gotten out of that part of the game the first time, even without high sneak. It wasn't sneak. I just had, the first time I played, for some reason I had in my head that I either had to kill Elijah or I had to somehow manage to sneak directly past him into the enclosed area where he came from. But that's not what you have to do. You don't even have to really sneak. You just, as soon as you finish talking with him, you just start plotting your way back out the way you came in.
Right.
And that's why you can actually, I didn't bother, but you can actually load up on every single gold bar and walk out, because assuming you don't fall through any of the holes in the walkway, you can walk all the way out no matter how much gold you're carrying.
Really, I couldn't do that. What trick did you use?
Well, I've only read about this. I carried only enough that I wasn't overburdened, so I went over and jumped over all the things and went out. I guess if you do it just right, you can get to the various places where you have to jump, and if you have just enough manual dexterity, I guess you can do it.
Well, I saw online that you can take all the gold and walk to that wall, that electric field.
Yes.
And you stand up next to it and drop the gold.
Okay.
It'll fall on the other side.
Oh.
Then you walk around and you leave the place, and as you're leaving, you just pick the gold up.
Was that how you do it?
That's how it's supposed to be done. I've seen it online. I've had friends tell me that they did it that way. I haven't done it yet. I've tried it 10 times. I cannot do it.
I just didn't even bother. I just said, each gold bar is worth what, 10,000?
10,000, yeah.
And there's nobody in the waste that has anywhere near that. So I figured, okay, the funny thing is, after I got through that part, I went back to the villa and looked around, and for some reason I couldn't find any of the hologram shopkeepers. It's like I was just being stupid or something. I couldn't.
That's what you and I were talking about last time.
I couldn't find them again. I mean, I know I wandered past a few when I was playing through the regular playthrough, but I couldn't find them now that I had the stupid gold bars.
I know that. I had the same problem. It was kind of aggravating. I had to walk around, and it was getting kind of old. But,
yeah. Although, no matter how many gold bars you get, one of the things that it is interesting is that when you get back out, it's you land back in the Brotherhood of Steel bunker, and there's the footlocker where all your stuff is. So it's not exactly the same way as when you leave, say, Caesar's camp or any of the other places that strip you of your weapons. There's the footlocker that has all your stuff. If you have the gold, it seems to me that you can store your gold perfectly safely in that same locker, because I don't have the perk that lets you fast travel when you're overburdened. So what I did is I just put the gold bars that were overburdening me with all the other stuff I had that was in the footlocker, and then I fast traveled back to Novak, put the gold bars in the safe, and then came back and got the rest of the gold bars. Although, if you did this the right way and found the vendors, you'd have pre-war money and wouldn't have this problem.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's what I did. I found the vendors and transferred the gold into old bird
Okay,
money.
so where did you actually find a vendor? Because I swear, I kept looking and looking, and I just finally said, you know, the heck with it, I can't find one, and I gave up.
I don't remember. I mean, they're scattered around the kind of the city.
Yeah.
And they're just like these holograms, and you walk up to them, and they have this money.
Okay.
But I didn't walk out with that much gold. How much did you walk out with?
I only had like 5 or 6.
Yeah, me too. I didn't get much.
Because I wanted to wear the armor in case I had to fight Elijah. So I mean, I could have done without that if I had it to do over again. Maybe I'd do it without
did you fight Elijah?
No, I kept the armor on in case I had to because I wasn't sure how that was going to play out. So I kept the armor. As it turns out, I should not have kept the armor.
Which armor are you talking about?
The ninja armor, because the other armor got finally
Oh, yeah. That's what that's what I'm using now. Yeah, I love that armor.
Yeah, and it's actually it's really good for sneak too. So that's a cool set of armor.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's what I use. I didn't fight him. I just walked right by him.
Right. Well, the funny thing is that that armor, I've come to the conclusion that if you've got high sneak, that armor is probably better even than power armor, because the power armor just slows you down.
Yeah, it certainly does. That's what I like about Fallout New Vegas. It actually, in Fallout 3, you're better off just getting the big armor.
Yes.
There was no reason to use sneak skill in Fallout 3.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, sneak skill almost was terrible in Fallout 3. Fallout New Vegas, having the sneak skill actually helps. You can actually, it's beneficial.
Yeah, I've even found it beneficial against death claws. A couple of death claws I whacked by sneaking up to them and popping them in the head.
Yeah, absolutely. And this wasn't that good in last game. Last game sucked for, if you wanted to be a sneak person.
Yeah, it did. And in this game, it really does. You can take advantage of it greatly, which is interesting. It's something that in Fallout 3, my favorite weapon was the sniper gun, because you just stood back and popped people.
Yeah, and in this game, the sniper rifle, if you're sneaking, oh my god, it's an automatic kill.
Yes.
It's great.
Yeah, you get...
The last game was all about, muscle and big armor. This game, you can do, pretty much wherever you want.
Yeah, it really does leave it open, because I've played through a couple of times as a gun fanatic. I've played through once now as a sneak person, and you can get to the end just as effectively either way.
Did you get the power armor in this game?
I've done a playthrough where I've gotten a set of power armor 2 ways. I did one playthrough where I befriended the Brotherhood of Steel and got the armor that way. Right. And if you get the armor that way, you have to be very careful, because the armor you get from them is in terrible condition. Mm-hmm. And then what you need to do is go hunt down every other set of T-51 armor that's lying around on dead bodies. But you have to be careful about the way you repair it, because you can repair what you're wearing with that and still end up with the T-45, which doesn't brand you as an enemy of everybody on the planet. But if you repair it the wrong direction and end up in T-51, every NCR person that sees you will be immediately hostile.
Why is that?
Because you're a Brotherhood guy. Oh, and they've been at war with the Brotherhood basically for, a generation or so, right?
Right.
So you don't want to repair your Brotherhood armor in the wrong direction. You can acquire the Brotherhood armor and repair the T-45 that Elder McNamara gives you. Just don't repair it in the other direction, because if you repair it in the T-51 direction, you'll end up not being able to wear it around NCR people. I didn't realize this the first playthrough. I ended up leaving that armor on, didn't think about it, and then I was wondering, wait a minute. It had me listed as NCR idolized, and then they're all firing at me. Because I was dressed as a Brotherhood of Steel guy.
See, I still haven't got the armor yet. I just never bothered to go that direction.
Well, there's another way to get power armor, too, and this is a really much cooler way. There's a path you can go down with Arcade Gannon, where you get the old gang together, the old Enclave people. I don't know, you haven't done that?
No, you know what? I haven't. I've talked to Arcade Gannon once, but I've never taken him on as a partner.
All right, so if you take him on as a follower, you have to do two things. You have to have a number of conversations with him, kind of to get his trust points up. It's sort of the same way with Boone. You have to talk to him a number of times before he's willing to open up at all. Same thing. But you also need to take him to some places where there are high-tech stuff. So, like, for instance, if you take him to, I'm trying to remember now, Helios is one of the places, and there's the two the factory where the ghouls are, and then there's the headquarters. What's the name of that place again?
Headquarters of what?
Repcon. That's what I couldn't come up with. If you go to Repcon HQ with Arcade Gannon, what'll happen is you've taken him into a high-tech locale. He'll make a couple of comments about how, oh, this is technology for blah, blah, blah. And then if you engage him in conversation when he makes that comment, if you do that often enough, you can get him to open up, and you'll learn that he actually had a father who was an Enclave member. And then towards the end of the game, assuming you're not siding with the Legion, when he would just leave you because he's foursquare opposed to the Legion, you can go ahead and there are a bunch of old people scattered around the way. So there's one in Novak, and there's a Cannibal Johnson who's out in the hills by Vault 34, and there's a few others scattered about. You get them all together, get them to agree to join you, just like you can get the Brotherhood to agree to join you and the Boomers to join you.
Right.
And at the end, they'll come swooping in a vertibird and start blowing away your enemies. And in the meantime, they will train you on armor, and it is the best armor in either Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas as far as protection, because it's like an immaculate set of, the armor that the Enclave dudes wear in Fallout 3?
Oh, yeah.
It's
absolutely.
a perfect, pristine condition version of that armor.
Really?
Yeah, and oddly enough, nobody sees you as an enemy. I guess the Enclave's been dead for long enough that nobody recognizes it.
Right.
So, but to get back to New Vegas, one other thing, to Dead Money rather, one thing I also wanted to bring up is, at the end, did you notice that they bring up a whole bunch of hints about upcoming DLC?
No. What do you mean?
Okay, if you've successfully merged Dog and God's personalities and you've stayed on Christine's good side.
Yeah. Well, they hint to the future.
Yeah, they look ahead to the future, and if you look up in the corner of the screen, it'll talk about, how the question mark things comes up, say you've fulfilled question mark 1 of 5, 2 of 5, and so on.
Right. Yep.
There's one of those that I must have run through this correctly, that you get, hints about the future. You hear about the other courier, and you've probably seen hints of this throughout.
Yes.
You get told about the other.
That's what God talks about, you and him having a big standoff.
Right, the big standoff, and Christine talks about it too.
Yep.
So you get the big talk about how there's going to be a big standoff between you and
That's what you and I talked about last time.
Yeah, but I actually went through it this time, so I actually got to hear that whole thing. And doing a little research, I discovered that this also ties into something that in other editions of this podcast, Michael and I had talked about. Every follower you have is either the sort who would prefer that the NCR win, or that they go in, or that you go independent, other than maybe Raul, who doesn't seem to care that deeply. But there's no followers who are really foursquare, ready to go on the side of Caesar.
Right.
And stuff I've read says that this other courier, that's who that guy was intended to be, was a follower who would be willing to go with Caesar, at least originally.
Right.
And I guess they just for one reason or another, they pulled that out of the game. But it's kind of funny because there's no other follower who's really down with the idea of following Caesar.
No, I don't think so, no. Do you know who voices Raul?
I remember reading it once, but I don't remember now.
Danny Trejo.
Oh, okay.
He's in the movie Machete. He's big. He's a big Mexican guy.
Okay.
And do you know who voices Benny?
I've heard this one too.
It's the guy from Friends. What's his name? Matthew Perry.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
It's pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah, there's a bunch of good voices. I mean, Mr. New Vegas is, now it's escaping me. It's Mr. New Vegas, Wayne Newton.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Wayne Newton. Yeah, this game's awesome. I'm very well pleased with it.
Yeah. So anyway, so now I'm really happy that I've gotten through Dead Money, because I got the 40 gamer points for the what do they call, safety deposit box achievement.
Right. Yep.
There's the one I didn't get for carrying all the gold bars, but you've said you've tried that how many times and not been successful?
Oh, I spent hours trying to get according to what I saw online is you go up to the field, you drop your gold, you run around the other side, and you pick it up. And I tried that many times, spent hours doing it, and couldn't do it. But it doesn't really matter, because even if you take like 2 or 3 golds, that's more money than you absolutely need. I mean,
well, I figured
you don't need that much money.
I figured walking out with 5 bars, assuming I could ever sell either the pre-war money or bars, that's what, 50,000 caps?
Yes. I know, it's far more money than you ever need.
Well, it's funny. My daughter was watching me finish this, and I got out with the 5 gold bars, and she asked me how much money I had anyway, so I pulled up the screen. Even before that, I had 47,000 caps.
Really?
Well, because this character, in addition to pushing up sneak and unarmed, I wanted to get all the achievements for breaking the casinos, so I pushed the luck up to 10.
Wow.
Let me tell you, push your luck up to 10, the whole game's easier.
I imagine so. You had a 10 luck?
Yeah, so
Wow.
every casino you walk into, you just go in and play blackjack. And
now, was that a natural 10, or did you get
no, I pushed it to 8 to begin with, and then I did 2 intense trainings.
Right, that's what I thought.
And then,
so you used the chip too from that doctor?
Yeah, so actually I might have done 1 intense training and 1 chip, but either way, I got my luck to 10. And then you just walk into casinos with a luck of 10. You just play blackjack for a few minutes, and you'll get however many caps you need. You'll get as many as you want, up to the point where they kick you out.
Now, what happens when you play slot machines?
You win more often than not, but I found it happened faster if you play blackjack. Blackjack seemed to be the easiest and fastest way to get up to the maximum number of caps out of any casino.
Well, I've pretty much beaten every casino, and all I needed was a luck of 7.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, you have to, you do lose some, but if you have a luck of 7, that's all you need to break the bank,
okay.
so to speak.
Well, luck of 10, it happens real quick.
I imagine so, because I could do it with luck of 7. I imagine with luck of 10, you were kicking butt.
Yeah, and like I said, the whole game's easier because I arrived in. I'll tell you how easy it was. I arrived in New Vegas at level 4 because I had acquired that many caps.
Right.
Just by wandering about, and it seems with a higher luck, you just seem to find more caps for everything, and people sell you stuff for more money. I mean, it's like having high barter is what it amounts to. So everything's easier.
Did you play roulette at all?
I did, but it didn't seem to me that broke my way as often as I thought it should.
I've won once in the game of roulette. Even when I have a luck of 7, so I've played roulette several times, and I've won once. What was your experience?
Yeah, I won more often than that, but not that often. That was why I bailed on that and just started playing blackjack. And with blackjack, I just seem to get. It's funny with luck of 10. More often than not, you can hit almost without regard to how many points you have. So I'd hit on 19s and get a 2. It would just happen. I'd hit on 17 and get a 4. You know, that's the sort of thing that happens when your character has a luck of 10. You get the cards that you figure are 1 in a million shot kind of cards.
Right,
But you just get them. With roulette, it didn't seem to work that way. It seemed like that game was playing the way you would expect roulette to play, which is, well, I'm going to lose a lot of money now.
Yeah, no, that's what I felt like, too. I was like, oh, my God, I'm just losing money here.
Yeah, so that's why I switched over to blackjack, because I figured, everything I've read, and it seemed like with a luck of 10, that just was the easiest way to break the bank. Although I played a few slots, and they seemed to break my way more often than not, too. I enjoyed the blackjack interface more than I enjoyed the slots one.
Yeah, well, with the luck of 7, just from my experience, playing blackjack, roulette is just a waste of time because you lose money. The only way I was able to make any money, was blackjack. Yeah, I'm sorry, it was blackjack. That's the only way I was able to make money because with roulette or with the slot machines, it was just like throwing money away.
Yeah, one of the other podcasts I've listened to on New Vegas, the GNR podcast, I think they mentioned that in their research, a luck of 7 was basically even as far as the casinos are concerned, and it was above 7 that you started to have things really fall your way.
I disagree because it was pretty easy for me.
Okay.
I mean, I was able to break every single bank of every casino, and they kicked me out of all of them, and it wasn't that hard.
Now, does that include Prim? Did you get kicked out of there?
No, I didn't get kicked out. I got kicked out of every casino in New Vegas.
Yeah, that's the only ones you need for the achievement, but it turns out you can also get yourself kicked out of the Wrangler and out of Prim.
No, I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, if you go to the Wrangler, that's easy.
I can go back.
Wrangler's easy, but Prim, it's, you know how I don't know if you've done this. If you go back to Prim after a bit, you will find that some NCR deserters have shown up there and think they can take over.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be able to gamble in Prim, one, you have to wait until that happens. Then you have to either get rid of them with speech or kill them. Then you have to wait for it's either 2 or 4 game days to pass. And then when all that falls in line, you can go back to Prim and gamble. Now the limit's real low. I think it was like 4,000 caps, but it's for kind of completion. One other thing I should mention about Prim, and that this relates to Dead Money too. One of my companions when I went into Dead Money was Edie. So when you go into the bunker at the very beginning, you get a little pop-up that says, so-and-so, I had Cass and Edie, and it said Cass has gone back to the Mojave Outpost and Edie has gone back to Prim. So it's fine, I can go find them. I hadn't done Edie's quest when I went into Dead Money, and I did research on this afterwards. This is a bug. If you have not done Edie, My Love, to completion before you go through Dead Money, when you come back out and go to Prim, Edie's hostile.
Really?
Yeah, you walk in and she starts shooting at Jonathan Nash and Ruby Nash.
You call him Edie. I call him Eddie.
Okay, either way. But
yeah,
the robot starts shooting.
Eddie or Edie?
Yeah, well, she or he, whatever. For some reason, I call her she because I think of her as Edie. But either way, the robot starts firing. So I walk in, and the robot's hostile. And before I've even figured out what's happening, Jonathan Nash is dead. I'm like, what? And then I look, and Edie's red, not even neutral. She's hostile to me. So I went back on the save, and then, to see if there was anything I could do, and there wasn't. I finally just ended up killing Edie, and figuring, okay, I'll go get the dog now. But
so was that a glitch, or was that? That's weird.
According to the wiki, this is a glitch. That if you go into Dead Money, and Edie is your companion, and you have not finished the Edie, My Love quest, you come back to get her, and the robot's hostile.
Have you had the dog yet?
Oh yeah, I've had the dog. I've replaced the dog's brain. The dog's a good companion, but I like Edie because of the fact, especially if you're playing an unarmed specialist, it's nice to have the Edie, because she'll fire at things from a distance. Just like having Boone is nice, because you'll go up to pound things, and Boone will be plinking at them while you're doing that, right? So it's kind of nice to have Edie for the same reason. She's plinking with her laser while you're walking up to pound them.
Yeah, well, my character's a nerd. I mean, I think I told you last time. I boosted up science and intelligence, and I have no strength. I have nothing. I mean, that's why I was terrible at this download.
Yeah.
It was rough for me because I have no fighting skills whatsoever. So it was very tough for me.
That was why I went through and did a whole new character build for it.
That's what I was about to say. You went back and created a whole new character, didn't you?
Yes, I started from scratch, and I built the character up pretty much specifically aimed at the DLC.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good you did that, because my character was completely opposite. I mean, every strength you needed for this download, I didn't have. The whole fighting in close, didn't have that. Armor, nothing. So it was a very tough fight for me.
Yeah, also, High Luck also seems to find more Sierra Madre chips.
So what level did you go back? Okay, you created a new character. What level did you decide to attack this?
I went in at level 23. And, it's funny, the first time I went in at level 30 because I had maxed out my character. And it was hard, but that's because that was a gun specialist. I didn't bother exploring the basement of the police station, so I found virtually no guns and ammo because that's where they all are. I mean, it makes perfect sense. Police station guns, yeah, okay. Yeah, if you wander down, there's a gun cabinet and everything. But I didn't find that the first playthrough, so outside of the police station, guns and ammo are very rare in the villa area.
Right, yes, they are.
So if you haven't stocked up at the police station, you're pretty much hosed. So that character... I was just desperately bringing up unarmed, and, I had no sneak, so I had the bear claw fist on, which is a good enough weapon, but if you have no unarmed skill, it's just really hard, and I spent the entire game way, way, way down on health. With this new character, I had built up survival, and unarmed, and sneak, so I was able to sneak up on all the ghosts. I was able to just pound them into oblivion, and I lost virtually no health. I mean, you know where the only place I lost health was in the hotel with the stupid holograms.
Oh my God, those guys were tough.
I know.
The ones like in the oh man, those guys.
But if you have high sneak, you can sneak past them.
Really?
Yes.
They kicked my butt.
They did. When I wasn't careful, they did too. And this is one of the places where I really wish this DLC were available for PC, because it is so much easier to make sure you're walking on PC than it is on the Xbox. Because on the Xbox, you've got the analog controller stick, and the only way you switch from walk to run is where you're holding that stick.
I was wondering about that. So there is a difference between walking and
Unless
running.
you've taken the silent running perk, running factors into a sneak attempt.
Oh,
So if you haven't taken silent running and you're crouched down in sneak mode but you're running, you're more likely to be caught. If you've taken silent running, on the other hand, it just that gets factored out and you raw sneak. So it's a good perk to take if you've driven sneak up. But if you haven't been concentrating on sneak, you think, well, why would you ever take that? You wouldn't. But on the PC, it's a whole lot easier, because it's a matter of whether you're holding the shift key down when you're holding the W down or not. And it's very obvious. You're either running or you're not.
Now, your sneak level, what is it? 100?
My sneak level by the time I finished was 100. When I went in, it was like 94.
Yeah, okay. You're higher than me. I think I was like 90. And I didn't have as easy a time as you did. They still saw me coming. I mean, I could sneak,
You have to be very careful to make sure you're walking, or this character had taken the silent running perk. So when you take the silent running perk, you can run up to them in sneak mode, and they still don't notice you.
Now, what was your medicine? What level was that?
That was pretty low, like 40-ish maybe.
Because that's what saved me. Because like the whole time I was like almost dying. The only thing that saved me was that I had 100% medicine.
Okay. Now I had high survival, which I think operated similarly, but in a different way.
See, I had no survival. I basically this DLC I basically went through the whole time almost dying, and I barely made it out. And I think the only thing that saved me was medicine.
And that was why I went and did a whole new character build for this DLC.
And you did the whole thing just for oh my God, you're amazing.
Well, it's kind of obsessive, I guess, in a way. But I should say that this is not the first time I've done something like this. Did you ever play the game Mass Effect and Mass Effect 2?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you remember in Mass Effect 2, there's a point where Miranda and Jack get into an argument, and you have to come in and either get them to both go along for the good of the team, or tell them, or shut them. If you're playing like Angry Shepherd, you can shut them both down by threatening them, or if you're playing Nice Shepherd, you can get them to see reason.
Right.
But you have to have a high enough either Paragon or Renegade for that to work. Otherwise, you have to pick, do I side with Miranda or Jack, and piss off the other one. The first time I played through the game, I didn't have a high enough Paragon to get that conversation to go the way I wanted it to, so I had to pick Miranda or Jack. I think, as it was, I picked Miranda, but, I had to pick. Having that, I decided to get a high enough Paragon, I went back and replayed Mass Effect 1.
Really?
Yes, I replayed the whole stupid game, got all the Paragon points I could in Mass Effect 1, so that I entered Mass Effect 2 with my Paragon points as maxed as possible on entry.
Really?
Yes, and I did that just...
Man, you're hardcore.
I did that just to get that one conversation option. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, that wasn't the worst of it. The worst is, I then wanted the gamer points for the play through on Insanity. So I went and played through another time on Insanity. Start to finish on Insanity level. And that's not so bad until you run into the husks, and you discover that you remember dealing with the husks in Mass Effect 2?
Oh, no, it's been a while.
Well,
no, I don't remember.
But you remember that they just go down pretty fast. There's a lot of them, but they go down fast.
Yeah.
Well, on Insanity level, they have armor.
Oh.
So it's not enough to just pound them from a distance. It's really hard. So I played through the whole game on Insanity. That's the last time I'll do something like that, I think.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Anyway, so that's why I went and did a whole character build for this DLC. It's not the first time I've done something that insane.
Now, how long did it take you to get level 23? Because to be honest, I was thinking doing the same thing you were doing, but my God, I am one of these gamers, I cannot leave a stone unturned. I am a very slow gamer. It takes me forever to get through a game. And I will tell you this, I still haven't beat the game yet.
Really?
Yes, I have not beat the game yet. I go through
I've been through the NCR victory, I've been through the independent victory, and I've been through the House victory. I haven't done the Caesar's Legion victory, but that's partly because I just don't see the joy in it.
Oh, dude, I so slaughtered them. I don't know what happened. There was something, I don't remember what happened. It was something that happened, and I was like, you know what, Caesar's a jerk. And I didn't care what happened in the game. I just took my rifle, and I went towards Caesar, and I killed every single last one of them. You know?
Now, when you did that, and you were in Caesar's tent,
yep.
What did you use to kill the Praetorians? Because I found it's easy enough to knock down one or two of them, including Caesar, but those guys with their ballistic fists are pretty darn tough.
Yeah, that was tough. Those ballistic fists are mean.
So what did you use to knock them down?
I don't remember. I don't know. I think I had a shotgun. I don't remember.
See, now you know what I did? I used the alien blaster.
Oh, you cheated.
Well, if you want to call it that, yeah, but yes.
No. That's good. I don't remember what I used. It was a, dirty fight, and I didn't exactly walk out, unscathed, but I don't think I used the alien blaster.
See, now one of my favorite parts of the game is going through Caesar's camp and slaughtering the entire camp.
That's what I did. And I don't know what happened. I can't remember. I generally role play, so there was something to have in the game that made me mad at Caesar. So I went to his camp and killed all of them. I don't remember what happened.
Well, the last time I played, the way I did that was I had Boone as a companion. I had gotten his,
yes,
I'd unlocked his quest,
yep.
Where you have to go back to Bitter Springs.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first time I had done that. I had never gone through the whole thing with him. And I got into a conversation with him where he said said something about being glad to die if he could do it, killing Caesar. So I went out and went to the camp, and as soon as we enter, he has an interesting conversation option with you. He says something about how he hopes you don't mind that he's going to kill the first Legion guy he sees, and I'm like, not if I get to him first.
Mm-hmm.
But the funniest part is when you finish and you slaughter the entire camp, there's a really hilarious conversation option that you get with Boone. You kill the entire camp and you talk to him, and he says, well, I bet Caesar didn't see that coming when he had his first cup of coffee this morning.
I didn't get that. That's not fair. But I did the same thing you did, because, I was using Veronica, I think, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to go and kill every single member of Caesar's army.
Uh-huh.
And who better do that with than Boone?
Right.
Because Boone hates them.
Yes.
So, right? I went and got Boone, and I took Boone, and I gave him the 50 caliber, and we went and we pretty much just laid waste to his army, and we killed every single last one of those guys. And I don't remember that happening. That's not fair. That's cool.
That was a great conversation. I love that. Just
how did you get that? What did you do?
I talked to him after the end of the battle, and it was just something he said.
Maybe I got to try that again, because I did the exact same thing. I didn't even like Boone, but I knew if you're going to go after the Caesar, who better to take than Boone?
Oh yeah.
Because he hates them.
It was perfect.
Did you read his story?
Yeah. I finished the whole thing with him. If you do the whole Bitter Springs thing with him, at the end he doesn't end up a bitter and broken old man. He rejoins the NCR and goes back to First Recon.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, did you hear his story though? His wife and all that?
Yeah. You have to go.
He actually shot his own wife.
Yeah, you have to go through all the conversation options with him to get to that. He has to trust you enough first, then to get the point at the end game when you get this story when you finish, and it talks about just like the end of every Fallout game where it goes through the end stuff. Mm-hmm. At the very end, if you've done the Bitter Springs thing with him and sort of purged his demons, he rejoins the NCR and goes back to First Recon.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you don't end it that way, like if you don't end it quite that way, if things do not end well for Boone, You remember Talon Company from Fallout 3?
Oh yeah.
He becomes more or less one of those kinds of guys.
Oh yeah. Okay. Jaded.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
So I think with that, I think we can wrap this podcast up.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Got feedback? Send it to jarober@gmail.com or visit the website at jarober.com/blog/fnv.ssp.